And we're going to go there right now, Rob, to the NFL. And Deshaun Watson, it seems like we've been talking a lot about Deshaun Watson lately.
Yeah, it's funny when you didn't make the playoffs how much press you get. Oh, I'm sorry.
You are down on Deshaun. My goodness.
Chris, it's too much. I'm like, you know me. I love Kurt Flood, what he did to stand up for the rights of players. You know I'm not one of these guys. This just seems to be out of okay.
Well, I guess you won't like this then. His Instagram account, his official Instagram account with the blue check mark, liked a picture from the New York Post that had this headline: the Jets should do whatever it takes to get Deshaun Watson to New York. And Rob, I read that story, and here's what they said the Jets should offer to the Texans. This sounds like a lot. Look, I'm in agreement. The Jets should go all in to try to get Deshaun Watson. But here's what they said they should offer: 3 first-round picks, including this year's number 2, and Sam Darnold. And look, they got 18 picks over the next 2 years, but 3 first round. I'm giving you Sam Darnold. They might not want Darnold. Maybe they would use that number 2 pick on a quarterback themselves, but we'll see. But that was the article. He liked it, or at least his account did. If somebody else runs it, what are your thoughts though? I mean, you began. Go ahead and continue.
I'm first of all, if I'm the Texans, I'm looking for a deal. This has gotten to the point to me where it just seems it's gotten off the rails. You're getting away from football. All this other talk about the organization, him not having confidence in the organization, it's bad. It's going to be bad to try to get people to come, and people to when a guy is bad-mouthing an organization that he's still a part of and taking their money. But here's the other part. Deshaun Watson is talking out of both sides of his mouth. Because he says he has no confidence in the Houston Texans, but he wants to go to the Jets. The Jets have been a disaster in the front office, Chris, for a long time. Adam Gase was hired from their own division. What? They've had a musical merry-go-round of general managers. That organization is where you're liking that you want to go? Hello? Deshaun Watson, can I give you some NFL history? The Jets haven't won a Super Bowl, Chris, since?
Joe Namath.
No.
1969.
Since, what do you say? I say too much. The Jets haven't won a Super Bowl since?
Oh. You got so many since Moby Dick was a guppy.
Yes! That's how long it's been. 1973. When sports writers covered that Super Bowl against the Baltimore Colts, they used typewriters. That's the franchise you want to go to? That's the one you have confidence in?
Wasn't it 69?
Huh?
You said
69.
1973.
I was thinking of the Knicks. I'm sorry.
Okay.
69.
It's been so long for all the New York teams.
Yes.
So
I was thinking of the Knicks because they've both been a long time. But that's what I mean, Chris. I don't get this. This doesn't make sense to me. You're going there even though they have already a coach and a GM in place. You don't have any say in that. I just do not understand. And I'm not saying, Chris, out of common courtesy, right? If they were going to hire a new producer on our show, Rob G was going to some lame AM station.
Remember, he almost left us.
Four
he
call
wanted
letters,
to leave us a year or two ago.
he almost left us.
He had his bags packed.
Right. And then Chris was happy when it didn't happen. Oh, was that me? I think that was me.
I was happy too. What are you talking about? I wanted the best for him. It would have been nice comeback
no
for him.
doubt.
But
my point is, it doesn't make like his narrative doesn't make sense if he's open to going to the Jets. That's all. There's a lot of teams, Chris, better organizations, better chances to win, whatever you want to say. But to say that the Texans, Houston, which has made the playoffs 4 of the last 6 years, is a bad place, and the leadership is terrible because they didn't tell you what they were doing in the front office hire. And you know what? I will be the first one. If they told them they were going to do that, Keep
Well,
your
they
word.
did.
Okay.
They did tell
okay.
him.
I keep your
Not
word.
that he was gonna make the hire, but they tell him they were
fine.
gonna discuss it with him.
But to get your panties in a bunch and to be all worked up and then to be cryptic and to leak out all this stuff and badmouth the organization off the record, it's bad. That's bad leadership. I don't want that guy leading my team. I don't care how talented he is. This approach is bad. If you don't want to be there, be a man, stand up and say, I don't want to be there, and then they'll make a decision. I always told you, Chris, I don't want anybody who doesn't want me. If you don't want, that's why I'm divorced. I don't want anybody who doesn't want me. And if you don't want to be on the team, let's just be honest. We got to move on. I'm not going to force you to like me. I'm not going to force you to buy in. Pat Riley said it, and to this day, I think it's one of the best sayings ever in sports. Either you're in or you're out. There's no other way about it. And right now, to me, Deshaun Watson is out. And if I'm the Texans, I'm looking for a deal.
Well, I really disagree with you, Rob. I disagree with you totally. I think, first of all, there's just looking at it black and white. I think that's how you're looking at it. But when you really dig underneath the surface and read all the stuff that's out there, okay, Deshaun went to the front office like, hey, you're the owner. I want to have a say. I want to be consulted on the direction of the franchise, GM, coach, all that. Reportedly, he went on behalf of the team. Like a lot of the players voted like, hey, Deshaun's our leader. He's the future of the franchise. We want you to be the one to go to them. Because they see it. It's not just Deshaun. They all see DeAndre Hopkins being traded. They all see Jadeveon Clowney being traded. They all see Jack Easterby, who I don't know from Adam. But he's risen from being a chaplain in New England to being running football operations, essentially.
Chris, he's a man of the cloth. Why do you have a problem if he's a football executive?
But that doesn't mean he knows football because he's a man of the cloth.
No, but that doesn't mean he doesn't know football either because he's a man of the cloth. So why would you bring up him being a chaplain? There are guys, the new GM in Detroit started out in the public relations department of the Rams or whatever it was.
Well,
he was a PR guy. He was a flack. All right? That doesn't mean he knows football. It don't matter where you came from. You do your due diligence.
Here's the other thing. There was and this shows you to me what type of person Deshaun Watson is. All right. There was a fan that followed the Texans to a game and held up a sign that said Jack Easterby, this is the chaplain, Jack Easterby, chaplain or charlatan. Because there's all types of reports about how he has destroyed the franchise and all that. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what's being reported. And a fan had Jack Easterby, chaplain or charlatan, huge sign by the field, right? Deshaun Watson goes up to him and says, hey, why don't you stop holding that sign up? It's disrespectful. So that's the type of guy Deshaun Watson is. Rob, you remember the talk about Deshaun Watson coming out of college? Dabo Swinney said he's going to be the next Michael Jordan, the Michael Jordan of football. People raved about his character. I think this is a guy of high character, but he sees misstep after misstep after misstep with this franchise. He sees them telling me one thing and doing another. He sees them hiring Tony Dungy and Andre Johnson and a whole firm to hire the GM. They give you 2 candidates of color for the finalists, and they hire a guy who wasn't even on anybody's list because Jack Easterby wanted him.
But that doesn't mean that that's the wrong hire. It doesn't. And just
nobody
because,
knows,
wait a minute.
It
wait
does
a minute.
mean that you lied to Deshaun.
No, come
Why
on, man.
did you even bring in Dungy and Andre
because
Johnson and all these guys?
You can bring in people to spread the net. It don't mean that you have to take the recommendation.
It was 2 guys that
but
hired
it doesn't mean you have to hire anybody from that list. That's
Rob,
not an automatic. Otherwise,
you're
Chris,
right. It
there
doesn't.
would be no decision. You would say, let them pick the GM. That's not what that is. That's because you want to to take a look at other people, but that doesn't mean that when you make a recommendation that they automatically hire from that.
I don't think Deshaun wasn't as even going to be that involved. But I think he wanted the firm that recommended 2 men of color, that recommended, 5 other candidates or 3 other candidates. They had a top 5, and they go out of the box and hire a guy who's close to Jack Easterby. This is what I think he's seeing. As far as the Jets, I do think the Jets should go all in. They got the number 2 pick. You're not getting anybody with the number 2 pick who's going to be better than Deshaun Watson. You're not. So if you get Deshaun Watson out of this draft, you have hit a home run. And maybe he's a guy that wants to be in New York. I've heard analysts and insiders say he spends a lot of time in New York. He's a big personality. He's a leader. He's mature. He seems like he could handle New York. And I think you're right. The Jets obviously haven't won much. But Robert Saleh is one of the coaches that reportedly he wants to play for. Everybody raves about Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator from San Francisco. And Joe Douglas, I'm not down on him, the GM for the Jets. Heck, he hired Saleh. Maybe he's a good GM. And so they've hired new people. These aren't the same guys stumbling around that they have been in the past decades.
Same ownership, just like in Detroit. They've hired 150 people of the same ownership. And, Chris, my only point, though, is that what happens, this is why if I'm the Jets, I'm not happy. What happens if the Jets are too – if the Jets get Deshaun and they're 2-14 and some things don't work out, then he'll be bad-mouthing our organization, saying how he doesn't want to be here. What? I mean, why not?
This is one time. It's not like he was a problem at Clemson. It's not like he was a problem. He wasn't.
But how do I know that
that's his character?
But how do you know that? Houston's been to the playoffs 4 out of 5 years, Chris, until this year. So you're saying that, but they were going to the playoffs.
When they traded away his best receiver,
Deshaun Watson had an unbelievable year.
No, my point is he didn't make a fuss about it. No, you think Brady would be upset if they traded away Gronk when they were together in New England? Yes.
Chris,
you think Peyton Manning would have been upset
in the NFL
if they traded
all the
away
time.
Marvin Harrison?
It happens in the NFL all the time. You know what they do?
No, it doesn't.
The Patriots,
they trade away your best wide receiver.
The Patriots refuse to pay anybody. They let a lot of players go who never got paid. Philadelphia let players go to get paid, Chris. It happens around the league. It's the way the league is set up.
You're reading this wrong on Deshaun, I think. I mean, this is a high character guy, and the way that organization has been run is not high character. So I don't
totally
mind him
disagree.
stepping up.
If you ask most fans,
would
you take an organization to go to the playoffs 4 out of 6 years? The 1 year that they missed the playoffs, it's a bad organization. Why did you sign a contract with them?
He's not the only one saying that,
He could have forced his way out of there, Chris. Why would he sign a contract with people he don't trust?
Get the money.
No.
He was committed last year.
Sit to the side and say, I don't want to be here. I want you to trade me, and I'll sign with a new team. He could have done that. Why not?
Nah.
Yes, he could have. He wanted the money. That's why. It didn't bother him.
It was all good a year ago.
No, he didn't bother him then.
No, he was in. But
it wasn't that because he got paid.
Since then?
People get big britches once they get paid. That's how it is.
I'm
and that's
shocked
what
that
happened.
you're going along with this because this is nothing but the good old boy network. And just like Tony Dungy said last night, Deshaun is pushing back on it. This dude Easterby, I'm glad he's a man of God. Praise the Lord. But that don't mean he can run a football team.
And it doesn't mean that he can. And it doesn't mean that he can,
You gotta
Chris.
get qualifications,
It doesn't
Rob.
mean that it can.
So why don't they just hire somebody off the street? Because it don't mean that dude can't do it either. Why don't they just go into the nearby accounting firm and hire him to run the team? Maybe he'll do it. Do well.
Guys come from all walks of life to run teams. Fred Clare ran the Dodgers. He was a sports writer. There have been people, Chris, of all kinds of walks who have, you just said it before, Jerry Krause was a baseball scout, and he became the Bulls general manager. And you know what? Yeah, it was bad, but they won 6 championships. So don't make it like it's an automatic formula.
Yeah, because of Jerry Krause? Or because of Michael Jordan?
But Jerry Krause was a part of it. He made deals.
You could have been the
you
GM
don't
and
know
they were
that.
going to
Come
win
on.
6 championships.
It ain't automatically. He made the trade for Scottie Pippen.
Being a scout
you cannot do that.
In baseball to being the GM of a basketball team? You going to defend that?
It worked,
That's
Chris.
the good old boy network. It worked because Rod Thorne drafted Michael Jordan. That's why it worked. You know it and I know it. That's why Jordan's the GOAT. And I'll give you, Krause was a good GM. I'm not going to rip him. But he also was part of the reason that team fell apart, maybe prematurely. All right, what do you think? Heated conversation.
No, it's just a conversation.
877-99
Chris ripping a man of the cloth. You better mark this down in Odd Couple history.
Yeah, mark it down. I'm not ripping him for his character. I'm ripping him for how is he running a football team. Because he went to seminary? That's not in the qualifications.
And Chris, your timeline, he also signed that extension after they got rid of Hopkins. So if he was so bothered by Hopkins, he didn't have to stay there.
He wasn't that. He handled it like a man. He didn't like that you give away his best receiver, but he was ready to move on. He even said himself, I was at a 2. Now I'm at a 10. You upset with Deshaun Watson for wanting out of Houston? Or is he doing the right thing? Your turn to weigh in.
All right, don't forget Trash Talking Tuesday in the final hour coming up as well. Let's kick it off with Ray in Seattle. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Ray?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. Chris, I love the passion. I can't be mad with Deshaun Watson just because an organization is built on culture, and the culture and excellence is built from the top down. There hasn't been a good coach over there to make sure that culture and those guys thrive. And on top of that, with Deshaun Watson looking in the future, with Jacksonville getting a new coach, the number 1 draft pick, the Colts one piece away from getting better in the playoffs, the Titans are going to be there forever. It's time to get out of that division and go someplace where he can succeed.
Heck, the Colts might not be a bad landing spot. Frank Reich, I think that's pretty good right there. But, I'm with it. Take control of his career. I like it.
Keith in New Orleans, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Keith?
I'm rocking with Uncle Chris, man. I think that the issue is that the NFL wants you to toe the line. They want you to accept the status quo. This guy was told he's going to be a part of something, and they reneged. It's their fault. It's their fault that this issue exists. He has every right to want out. They have failed at every level as far as how the organization is ran. They got rid of
the Jets, Keith. But he's going to the Jets. He wants to go to the Jets. Come on, Keith. That doesn't even make any sense.
Too.
And what happens if he goes somewhere and their star defensive player says, you know what, I want out of here? Or Deshaun Watson is involved or says, hire this guy, and it doesn't work out. Now what? Are you going to be the one to say, Deshaun Watson shouldn't have put his 2 cents in? Deshaun Watson shouldn't have asked for that. I just think it opens up a can of worms that you don't want to deal with as an organization. Things happen. Guys that you might want to hire don't work out. I just think, I'm not saying that they can't go to him and ask him for his opinion.
That's all he's asking for, right?
No.
I don't think he wants to hire the coach.
I just think
the GM.
Well, he was all mad about a GM. I just don't understand players wanting to hire a GM, Chris. I don't. A coach and his philosophy, yes. A GM,
you think Deshaun Watson wanted the final word on the GM? You really think that?
Well, that's what got him all bent out of shape. He planted stories and let people know he was upset.
I think he was upset.
It was over the GM.
Because of the process. Why hire a firm? Why ask Tony Dungy and Andre Johnson to get involved?
You're not that naive. Come on.
No, you're not that naive. I can't believe you're going siding with that team.
No, I'm just talking about that's not how things
That was
work.
all for looks.
That could be,
like
that could be a recommendation.
When they bring in a black, it's like you've talked about when they bring in a black coach just
everybody doesn't get hired
to meet the Rooney Rule.
No,
they do that all the time.
This
is what they did. It was the same thing. They hired the search firm. They talked to
I
Dungy and
disagree.
Andre Johnson.
They don't
just
hire
to save face.
No, they
and then
don't.
They knew it. They
didn't
knew
have
they were
to
hiring
do that
all along.
Chris, they could have
I
done
know
a
they
token
did have to
interview.
do
Why
it.
did they have to do that? They didn't have to go through that
save
step.
face.
No,
First
they
of all,
didn't have
they
to
did
do
need
that.
to talk to some minorities.
That is not how. That was not a minority committee just for a minority candidate. You said the final two
you had
happened
to have
be.
some of them be candidates.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that would have been automatically the recommendation.
That was to save face, man.
My point is that that's not how it's done. Everybody who's recommended from a committee does not get hired. It doesn't happen.
Of course not. Nobody's saying that.